Well, welcome to a very special News Game Plus. I'm Cranky Kong, and I'm here with New Game Plus executive producer Donkey
Uh,
Kong. It's a
I mean,
Nintendo themed day today.
that came out today as well, didn't it?
What did?
Donkey Kong came out today. So they released like a trailer for Donkey Kong, and then they released their big trailer for the day within like 12 hours of each other.
They need Sleepy Kong.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah, yeah.
get that right. Now wait, let's do this is a special podcast because the Switch 2 got not announced really, but revealed. What would you call it?
Revealed. I think
Revealed
revealed is the way
overnight.
to describe it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't a, it wasn't a, it wasn't a. I mean, they've said that on the 2nd of April they're going to do a bigger thing. That was the last clip of the video, saying basically on that day they're going to do a bigger one.
hmm
Yeah, so yeah,
Well, basically, all the rumors are pretty true.
yeah.
Nintendo has no control over the Chinese suppliers. They had control over Japanese suppliers and American ones, but no control over the Chinese ones,
It
clearly.
was the French guy was the French one Genki were the big ones who were like just letting shit go left, right, and center. And
Oh, really?
yeah, so but they were using they bought one on the dark web. Or
Big.
so
We're
so
talking about Bitcoin.
they originally said it was I think it was like CS something. Oh, we have a Switch with us, blah blah blah.
Mm.
And then they were letting people take all these measurements and stuff. And I just remember reading it going. And Nintendo Ninja's in 5, 4, and then the next day he retracted all of his statements. No, I don't have one. We're going off like
Oh.
this. Yeah, it was like so. I'm like, okay,
Well, the videos and the screenshots from Chinese peripheral, or what we call them, peripheral, or like case manufacturers, and that were all true. Anyway, let's go through the video. So,
yeah,
for anybody who hasn't seen, if you have, you're welcome to listen along, and we're going to give our thoughts on the video. So basically, the video opens with the Switch One being increased in size. I kind of guess I got the impression it was about 15 to 20% higher
mm.
than a Switch One. The Switch Two just expands the
I
screen.
must confess, as someone who owns a Steam Deck, it's starting to get a bit onerous the size. You know what I mean? Like, there's only so much you can do with a 8.7-inch LED screen without it starting to feel cumbersome. Because like, I like the Steam Deck. Sorry, the Steam
Yeah,
Deck. It's a great bit of kit. But it is heavy, and like if anything, I can see where they'll do the refinements for the next gen, like for the next gen Steam Deck, or they'll do like a Steam Deck Lite and the Steam Deck Normal and
yeah.
something
Although,
like that.
yeah, Valve said they don't want to do that yet because Valve's sort of like they've got the problem with their Steam Deck is the public needs to understand it, and
Yeah,
they've always had trouble when they release Steam products like Steam Box and the Steam controller that the public, especially the PC public, are sort of they think they they think they understand these things, but they're a bit set in their ways.
yeah, yeah,
But it looks like the Switch 2 is about on par with the screen size of the Steam Deck,
yeah.
which is
I'm
an
sure I'm
enormous
sure
screen.
someone's measuring the pixels on the video and then
Uh, I
converting it.
I
And
tried to. I
well, there's
held
that.
up a little bit on the
Have you
screen.
seen that guy who does it for fitness influencers? Basically, they'll be like, "Oh, what
What?
it's like to be a 5'2" Milky Mummy," and he'll go like, "Ah, I found these shoes online, and they're this tall, and
Oh
the
yeah, okay.
pixels, the amount of pixels they take up means that you're 7.3 shoes high, and then if I take off the soles and take off your socks, you actually, I'm like,
Yeah, I've seen ones that do
bro,
that with the
imagine."
if they're holding iPhones, it'll say
Yeah.
they're holding.
Weaponized A word if I've ever seen it, right?
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
yeah, so yeah, don't say the relay word.
yeah, yeah,
You'll actually like offend my children
yeah.
with that for some
I,
reason.
I do love chicken breast anyway.
So,
But yeah.
so anyway, look, so the video opens with the Switch One being increased in size by about 15 to 20%, probably
Yeah.
close to 20% in height. The screen just gets bigger, and yeah, it looks on par with the size of the screen on Steam Deck. If you've ever seen a Steam Deck, the screen is really big. A lot of
Yeah.
people are going to be shocked when they see how big the screen is.
Yeah.
First time you play with the Steam Deck that size screen, you do look at it and go, "Wow, that's pretty nice."
Yeah, and it's still and like most of the stuff it runs well. Like I'm running, I would say what you would consider last gen games, quote unquote. Like there's no way you're running Stalker 2 or anything on it. But like I've been playing Helldivers, and Helldivers can struggle, especially with
On your Steam Deck, yeah.
oh yeah. I've just got to lock the frame rate to 60, like then it'll help. But
Oh no, 60 frames. Oh.
yeah, I know, right? All these kids like it's gonna be 120. I'm like, it doesn't really. It really doesn't.
E-RAM playing Cigarelli, I'm a sap.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I play EDF, mate. You know what I mean? Like 10 frames.
Well, yeah, when you get a lot of bugs.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, and so like I play those kind of games on it. So I feel like, the rumors around its power have always been it's going to sit in that kind of PS Pro slot. I mean, I don't even think it needs to be that much. I think
uh,
if it's a PS4 Pro level power in a handheld, then the modern consoles are actually
I,
in a bit of trouble
I
because
think I was going to get to the end about some of the rumors, and one of the rumors about what's in the chip in there that
Yeah,
you
yeah. Well, we'll come
plug
down
in.
at the end if you want. It's up to
Yeah,
you.
one of them does suggest that Nintendo always plays a different game. They
Yeah.
always go with lower spec hardware, and because they're games like Mario Kart and that, which we'll get to later, there is certain graphic style that doesn't need that photorealism, and
Well,
that's a
we were
clever
discussing this
move.
last week after the podcast. Was exactly that is Nintendo's art style lends itself to low resolution very well. Like the way they do, they're very solid colors, very like
It's a cutesy
simple
art
line.
style.
Yeah,
It looks really good.
yeah, and that's why whenever you're buying a TV at a like a JB Hi-Fi or whomever, I shouldn't say their names until they're paying us, but if you're buying it from whomever,
Hmm,
they'll always use cartoons to sell their product because
yeah,
cartoons always look good in high res and they look good in low res as well.
yeah. Remember when PS2 was going to do Toy Story graphics? Oh,
Um,
every time we say cartoon, it always reminds me.
Emulsion.
Okay, so what we got now? The next bit of the video it shows it shows a bit of a layout or a bit of a pan past the actual unit.
Yeah,
It's got a more slightly more rounded back.
yeah.
People with headphones will be impressed to know it's got a three and a, it looks like it's got a 3.5 inch
Which the last one did as
centimeter
well,
whatever
so that's good. Yeah,
3.5 something
3.5
other
mil.
mil. That's it. I was
So
yeah, headphone
do you know how it works? You're from
yeah
America.
headphone socket.
It's an 8-inch dry. Shut the fuck up.
It's a, anyway, it's got a headphone socket, so
Yeah.
people will be happy with that. I think that's a good idea. Things should still have headphone sockets. No,
And
hello,
it's got a
Apple.
USB port on the top next to it, USB-C
Yeah,
port.
USB-C on top and bottom, which is good because having it on the top allows you to play and charge much
Yeah,
easier, especially if you're in bed and lying down, sort of resting on
yeah,
your tummy and that. Well, I don't know about you, everyone else's tummy, but
yeah.
rest on my tummy. The kickstand at the back. Now it's not a
Looks
little sort of door thing. The door thing at the moment that it can come off. It's made to come off, mostly because I think they discovered that it's real easy to drop into the dock with the little support open.
yeah.
Just
And
kill it.
pop it, yeah.
So
Well,
yes,
the flip side of that as well is because that is I very rarely play my Switch in TV. I always play it handheld,
yeah,
right? So basically, I will do that handheld, and that's kind of the end of it. So um, this idea that I'm able to the stand flexes, it doesn't just sit at that 45 degree because
yeah,
glare was always an issue. If you're like, I'm playing it, but then there's a sun behind us, it's like, well, we don't mind if we're happy to pull it forward, we'll just sit closer so that the glare's not on the screen. So
yeah.
having that range of motion will help. You know, I sometimes will just play, I'll just put it on the desk and I just play it. Like I used to do it while I was sitting at work, right? I just leave it in front of me. And
Mm.
because you have the Joy-Cons, you just leave them in your pockets, you know what I mean?
I've
Just stand
actually,
there.
I'll admit, I've actually done that with Minecraft on the Switch while I've been on calls.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's,
I just turn my camera and mic off for anyone who's
so,
listening. That's the secret. I'm sure you've heard me click buttons when I forget.
so
Yeah,
yeah, and so instead of a little kickstand, now the standard has instead of a little kickstand like it has in the current one that sits at the side and it's
yeah,
only got kind of one position. I think the new ones have got more, but
yeah.
it's only one. It's now like a full length one. It's a U
It's a
shape.
U-shaped. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it comes out almost to making it flat, probably a 30 degrees off
Yeah,
flat.
I
I'm
would go
guessing.
even lower. I would say like a 25, 20
Yeah,
degree. Yeah,
it's,
like it's really, really kind of just yeah. So it goes from the standard kind of 45 degree,
yeah,
and then flexes all the way down. So yeah, so for that kind of situation where you don't have, you need to lay it flat to keep it out of glare, or even if you just like kind of
yeah.
leaving it on your desk, I
Um,
mean, yeah.
you can almost hang it on something
Yeah,
the way it
I
goes
was just
around.
about to say you could potentially hang it on a wall, like yeah,
Yeah. So and so yeah. So the kickstands out. Now the next thing it shows is the bit of detail about the Joy Cons. Now
yeah,
obviously the Joy Cons are larger. Again, about 15-20%, probably closer to
yeah.
20%, I think. But that is a guess. There'll be people who've done a more accurate one of that. Um, they don't explain what the C button's for. There's a lot of theories about
So there
that.
is a rumor. I'm sure you've heard the rumor about
Mm,
clubs.
Copyright.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, 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 yeah. You
That's
you
my
press it, and the ninjas just kick your windows
yeah, the
in. Yeah,
Nintendo's lawyers contact you,
yeah.
just appear at your door. So yeah,
You,
so
you,
clubs.
you go to throw a tennis ball, and someone just slams the C button, and they'll come in and say, "Is that a pokeball?"
See, but I'll tell you what, there's a few C's in tennis,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
man.
Oh, mate.
Anyway, so let's move on. The C button. So clubs. What's this room
So
about clubs all
it's
about?
like their social thing. They're doing like a social app, similar to like they did with the Wii and stuff.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good because that's been missing from the Switch.
I must say that that's one of those things that I miss from Nintendo stuff, and I understand why they don't do it because everyone's a pearl clutcher. But PictoChat, the stupid Mail service or whatever it was called, like
Yep, yep.
all that stuff, I don't know, it was just fun. Like I just
The little
sometimes,
lobby thing
yeah.
it had.
And I feel like there may be a shift back towards just congregating in those
Street
communities
pass.
again.
Bring back
Yeah,
street pass. Bring
yeah,
back
yeah.
jigsaw puzzles. Bring back jigsaw
Yeah,
puzzles.
if you did clubs and it was Street Pass and then you got to put together the puzzle or something like that, that'd be great
I
fun, you
don't
know what I
limit
mean?
it to 10 at a time though, because the problem was when you took your 3DS to something like PAX, you'd have like there'd be like 1,000 people with
I
their
remember
DSs
Kirsty
there
used to
each.
do it. Yeah, she'd just have it in her right hand. She'd be talking to people, just spamming the A button to get through
Yeah,
them, and
I'm
then she'd
gonna.
close it, and then she'd wait 10 seconds and flip it open, and bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, you go day one, you get to the end of the day, and you forgot to do it. You have like 10. Fuck.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
anyway, so the there was the button. The now, okay, one thing I did notice the color scheme. Now
Yeah.
the whole unit's black. Well, it looks really nice. Now, like a matte black sort of color. So
Yeah, matte blacky, grey black, charcoal kind of color.
yeah, gone are the colored Joy-Cons, and the colored Joy-Cons are kind of cool. I especially like the Halloween ones, which were like orange and purple. But
Yeah. Well, my Splatoon ones that got stolen at a convention were my favorites, purple and green.
yeah, yeah. Oh, actually, were they the Japanese ones with the opposite?
Yeah, it's the opposite to us. Yeah.
Yeah, so look and it's hard to get here, obviously very hard to get. So anyway, so the color Joy-Cons look like they're gone. The reason I say that is because they've got the video highlights the magnet connectors and the coloring on the Joy-Cons. The Joy-Cons are black, and the blue on one side and the reddy pink on the
Yeah.
other side. They're like in the bit that slots into the Switch too.
Yes.
So and also just under the
And on
joystick.
joysticks. Yeah.
So the coloring it would be difficult, I think, to get. Not difficult. You could do it, but if you got ones with different colors, you've still got that blue locked into the Switch
And
side.
that's what I was wondering. I was wondering if they're using it more as a visual aid because like that was always a problem when you're putting on the stupid clips, right? So did you
Yeah.
see that there's a vision later where they put the Joy-Con strap or whatever their version of the
Oh,
Joy-Con strap will be,
every kid's tried to put
right?
those straps
And
on
put them
wrong
on
way.
wrong, and then you've got to like
Yeah.
fucking get them off, and
Pain.
it's
Yeah.
yeah. And so I feel like if it's like no blue for blue, pink for pink, it just solves that problem. So I
Yeah.
feel like even in whatever color they're still going to have those innards because it just makes sense from a user ease of use perspective.
Yeah, so it looks like the colored Joy-Cons have gone purely back to a visual
Yeah,
aid now. It will be interesting. So if you bought like an orange Joy-Con and you're sliding into the blue side of the Switch, it's sort of like going to make
yeah.
sense. And it's going to trigger my sort of like, my neurodivergence. If it's slightly different color, I'm going to be bothered by it.
Developer, you say, yeah.
So yeah, so that was something I noticed there. So I'm gonna call. I think colored Joy Cons are dead in this one. I
Mm,
don't think it'll happen unless you buy. No doubt they will have like Animal Crossing
yeah.
themed switches and stuff, and then you'll get something different. But I think if you just buy normal black,
Yeah, I wonder what it is going to mean for all the different colors and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the main thing with the Joy-Cons, as long as they've gone to Hall effect sticks as opposed to
that's
having
the rumor
yeah,
that they have. Yes. Yeah.
because the Joy-Con thing, even though yeah, the Switch is making them money on money on money, and you can literally just send in your Joy-Cons and get them replaced now. Like it's not even a question anymore, right? If you got a Joy-Con, you send it in, they'll send you a
Yeah.
replacement because that's how bad the stick drift is. And it's really noticeable and it can happen really quickly. Like sweaty people, it happens quicker because they wear down, they corrode the
Your
terminals
kids.
quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really bad. Yeah.
Gunk it up. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so now the Joy-Cons connect magnetically, or
Yeah.
it looks like they snap in, but they still have a little plug there.
And so this was my response when we were in the Discord watching it was basically, I'm surprised that they have an open bit like that because even the Switch original only had the circular magnetic
Yeah.
points. You know what I mean? So for them to have like an actual thing, that's something that will get snapped
It looks like
real quick.
it's not, but it looks like an eSATA sort of port.
Yeah,
Um,
well, it reminds me like it
or
reminds me if you had like the Mac magnetic drive, but it had a little bit poking out, and the little
yeah,
bit poking out's what worries me.
yeah. So that's something that I found strange. So they a lot of talk about the magnetic connection of the Joy-Cons. It's got magnetic connections, but it has a little plug sticking out in the
Yeah,
middle as well. Now, the plug socket it looks like they're still intended to be used sideways because it clearly looks like there's little covers that go on the end where it
yeah,
connects to the Switch.
yeah,
So it looks like still you can do the old thing, you just pull them off and play a two-player Mario Kart
yeah,
anywhere
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah,
with what's on there.
yeah,
I'm not a big fan of that personally because I hate my big complaint has always been with, and you probably have the same thing, the right hand Joy-Con, the joystick, the wiggly joystick is halfway down, and
yeah,
that's a real hard one on the thumb.
yeah,
And when you play it sideways, it's also then halfway across, so
yeah.
it sort of doesn't really work. I understand why they did it, but so neither's perfect for me on that side of the
So
Joy-Con.
because that's my wonder with it, right? Because the Joy Cons are bigger, the positioning of them is matters even more. You know what I mean? When they were little,
Yeah,
it was like
yeah,
it's only in 5-6 mil compared to where it would be normally, but it's enough to be annoying. Like the other day, I was playing a game on Xbox, and I had to keep clicking the stick to run, And in the end, I
Oh,
turned it
I
to a
hate that was down your
in the
cramping
end,
your
in the end,
thumb.
I
Oh
turned it into
God.
toggle because, like, yeah, it was just
Yeah.
catching on my thing. Because I'm like, I wish I could just click it once and I ended up having to turn it to toggle basically because, yeah, it was just, yeah, it actually
Put
felt
them
better.
both at the top or both low down,
Yeah,
like not one each one. It just feels bad in the hands.
yeah.
I'm not a fan.
Well,
Oh,
it feels fine if you're gonna leave the controller in one piece like Xbox. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna leave them where they are
yeah, you
permanently,
can
it's
get used to
different,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I prefer the offset on Xbox. I still don't like Sony controllers. I think the best one they had
Okay.
was the DualShock 4, but I hate the DualShock 5. I think it's awful.
Yeah, my favorite's
It's just dense, whatever it is.
the Wii U Pro controller. I don't know about the others, but it's
Yeah,
got both of the wiggly sticks up
yeah,
high, and I like that. Just find it easy on the thumbs. But anyway, I wish Nintendo would sell a right hand Joy-Con
yeah,
that had the buttons and the joystick swapped around.
yeah.
It's probably third-party ones, but I'd rather buy a real one. Anyway, so look, that's the Joy-Con. What else have we got here? Looks the right side still half down. It still uses the plus minus indicators as the current ones do to
Yeah,
give you an idea of the side. So when you put your little snap-on covers on
yeah.
to play them with separate joysticks, it does.
And
Um,
that process looks easy. It looks like they magnetize as well. So like, yeah, because compared to the
yeah,
slide-on nature of the Switch, which was fine,
you
but
put it on the wrong way.
yeah, it was just fucking pain in the ass. So I work in conventions. I hate that was one of my least favorite things.
They came out 8 years ago. My
Yeah,
kids were like 10, and they just every time they slide on wrong way.
yeah.
So now the other one is it's it still has like a little puppy dog style
The
joypad adapter. So
Joy-Con grip. Yeah,
yeah, so you can slide both of the side Joy Cons into like a handheld thing. The handles or the hand grips are set further back because
mm.
they snap in. They don't slide from the top anymore. They snap in from the side. So there's a little bit changed, but still has that puppy dog style controller. Um,
Well, it's going to be interesting to see with the old Joy-Cons because obviously they'll still sync up. One assumes that they'll still work because they one of the things they mentioned is backwards compatibility, which we'll go into later.
yeah,
So using those controllers for most games, they're going to be fine. It's just how are you going to clip them into the side of that, and how are you going to clip them into the Joy-Con grip? And the answer I think is you just don't. You can't put them into the side of the unit. Like,
yeah. Yeah, they'll just well, you can still sit them there with the cover on and just
yeah,
or use them separate. So if they don't do like remember when Microsoft decided between the 360 and the one, or was it one and the X? One of them they decided no, it was 360 and the one. They just
yeah,
decided to ditch all the old controllers.
yes.
I don't think Nintendo's going to do that.
Whereas now, yeah, like that's one of the nice things. If I'm stuck for controllers at an event or whatever, I can use my old Xbox One controllers, just pull them out of storage. So
Mm. Yeah, I've got all the 360, including the Rock Band controllers. And everything.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Anyway, so they did not show in the video any Pro controllers or anything like that.
yeah,
Probably too early for that. I assume Pro controllers will come because there'll be a Smash Brothers game and they'll want
yeah,
the Pro controller. But yeah, there wasn't any. They only showed the puppy dog controller now.
yeah.
Next up on the video, it shows the giant Switch 2 logo. Now they've gone heavy on Switch 2 branding, so it
Mm,
has the Switch logo, then a big number two. Um, Now they're not making the mistake the Wii U made and trying to call it a Switch U
yeah.
and then do all that because that was a disaster. And I think that
I mean,
really hurt the Wii U.
there was bigger issues that they had than just that, but that definitely
I think it
didn't
was a
help.
big one for normies
Yeah,
because you got to remember the people that buy these, like mums and that buy
yeah,
these, or a lot of people don't. If they're not deep into this, they don't
yeah,
know. So they've gone heavy on Switch 2. I think it's a great idea. I do hope they're back. That there's no demonstration of backward compatibility. Well, I'll get to that later. They do have a description of it, but hopefully the backward compatibility is seamless.
yeah,
Like you just put the game in, it runs. Not like the Wii U where you had to boot into a Wii mode, which was
yeah,
insane. They should have done that transparently. So if there's a Wii U game, it just automatically did that for
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah,
Because you had to get out one of the wiggly controller things where they
yeah.
like controllers.
And even on the Switch, they learned that with the GameCube controls. Like GameCube now is when you power it on, you can just use it as a normal controller. Because when it first
Yeah.
happened, going into Smash Brothers was hell. If someone let it go to the menu, it's oh my god, someone got to go find a Joy-Con, and yeah, yeah,
Yeah, backward compatibility has to be seamless. Now, so it looks like, look, at least with the branding, they're not making Wii U mistake. I'm
yeah.
happy to see that. Then on the video they demoed Mario Kart. Well, they kind of demoed. They showed Mario Kart on the screen. Now
Mm,
it's probably rendered, so who knows? One of the things a lot of people picked up on is it looked like there were 24 starting
yes.
spots in the grid. Now that's big because obviously you can't play 24 people on
No.
on one Switch. So maybe you can. Maybe
Moment.
that's a surprise. Does me wonder. Now,
That's
obviously,
literally double the last one, by the way. And because that was always the thing when they had this huge list of characters for Mario Kart 8. I mean, you end up getting to like, what, 50, 60 characters? I mean, maybe it's not that much. Maybe it's like 40 something. But they had so many different people you can pick. And so you would never get a mix of these different styles against it. You know what I mean? Like they followed the same system they did on the
It
old
kept
Mario
it
Kart.
fresh all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, they did it the same with the old Mario Karts where you had like your rival, and so you were always against one person who was your rival. And I don't know, I've never been a huge fan of that. So
My favorite thing with Mario Kart, generally off topic on that, is that they always use the tracks from the old games, and I think
mm-mm.
all games should do that because you remember the old ones. Because I was nothing hurt me more than when Cigarelli 2 came out. And it didn't have the original tracks. Oh, there was
Yeah,
okay. There was mostly the desert track, the start one,
yeah,
but I wanted Lakeside.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And it just it's nice to go back and play them because you remember them, and it's a little member berry or whatever you call
yeah,
it,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's good. Mario Kart does that well. Now, okay, so 24 spots. Now, obviously, this is going to be able to do online. Now, I was wondering if that's like a Tetris 99 style thing they're
Mm-hmm.
going to have with it. So I wonder what they're going to do. 24 is a lot more than just casual online playing.
Imagine if you did 24 battle, that would be an actual war zone. Like that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So I think that's got now that we might be reading more into it than we need to because it might have been just a video. But
Yeah.
being Nintendo, they might have put things in there that
Yeah,
are
yeah.
on
Well, they
purpose.
know their stuff's going to get dissected, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, lesser companies are getting dissected, let alone them. So,
Well, talking dissection, a few people have commented on the gameplay that was shown that they didn't think it was good quality. Now, I mean, we're really early.
yeah,
It's not even
well,
released.
yeah,
We
yeah,
can't
yeah,
get upset about that. So Mario Kart was the only game shown
yeah,
in any way on this. Okay. Next up, the dock. Well, oh yeah, the dock has a rounded top at the front,
yeah.
and the front of the dock is lower than the top of the screen.
Yes.
On the current Switch, it's pretty much all
Apparently
covered.
parallel. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Oh, there's like a centimeter gap.
in this one, there's a big gap. Now, I've seen some leaks and suggesting that that little top gap where there's about an inch, it looks like,
Yeah,
between the dock and the screen, will display like time, date,
yeah,
whether that sort of information, much like a Samsung phone when you
yeah,
got one of those covers with a little window in it. So
yeah.
that's an interesting idea. So if you got it in a room, you've kind of got a little
Like
an
alarm
always
clock.
on clocky sort of display.
You have to buy an alarmo at that point.
By the way, if you get bored, Alamos, oh yeah, okay, I'll deviate from this because Alamos are actually being you can on
Yeah.
gamesman.com.au you can actually pre-order an Alamo. They're coming in like April, I think it
Yes.
is. Yeah, so we're going to get Alamos in Australia, so that's something a little bonus one for people. Go to gamesman.com.au. That's the place I saw. There's probably others. Hello to Gamesman. I'm not sponsored. Um, so
Just to be clear.
before Elon Musk leaks my
Yeah, yeah,
DMs, so anyways, so look, where was I with that? Yeah, so the dock, it looks like they're making the dock like a little Samsung phone style display where
yeah,
it shows a bunch of info. Kind of interesting. Well, next thing they showed more of the puppy dog style adapter, and yeah, looks like the current one with the grip further back. Covered that already. Now we get to the backward compatibility stuff.
yeah,
So it says pretty much the last bit of the video has a picture of a game going into a normal switch and a new switch.
yeah,
They look like they're going to the same spot, based on the picture,
yeah,
and it has the text plays Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive games as well as Nintendo Switch games, and there's a star.
yeah.
The star says physical and digital.
So Nintendo Switch 2 plays both physical and digital Nintendo Switch games. Certain
Yes.
Nintendo Switch games may not be supported or fully compatible with Switch 2.
Yeah.
Details will be shared at the Nintendo website at a later date. So basically, that covers them for Labo, that covers them for
Yeah.
1-2 Switch,
Yeah.
and those ones that use those unique things that thing. Because the other one
Well,
that's not,
Labo's probably the big one because Labo's disappeared.
yeah.
There's no Labo anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's we're looking at a photo now of that's how it clips in. So there's a little button on the top where you
Yeah.
unclip it, which is going to be way
The
easier.
clip in the cover on the separate Switch
Yeah.
thing is good. Now the backward compatibility because it does digital games. Obviously the App Store's back. I hope they clean it up because at the moment finding anything on that store is a pain.
Yeah.
Nintendo's been very clever. They never really drop the prices on their games, but you can still go buy something worth $10 or $15, which is some shit mobile port.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But you still get that little hit of buying a cheap game. You're probably better off spending $3 on a quality game from Steam. But anyway,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's what Nintendo's done. So digital games will work now. Obviously, that means your Nintendo account and everything are going to just link over. So that's good news.
Yeah, yeah.
Now with also, do they have cloud saves?
I didn't say anything. I
No,
mean,
okay, cool.
Nintendo does
They
have
probably
cloud
do.
saves. You got to have
So,
Nintendo Online to use it, but yeah, they do
yeah,
have it.
so probably do that. And there's no information about Virtual Console or
Yeah,
whatever you call it, those sort of things.
nothing like that. And
Um,
I mean, this is the thing. This is how you know the leaks are coming from China and not Japan, because not a single game leak has come out of Nintendo because Nintendo are the ninjas. You know what I mean?
mm,
Like, so anything that is available and it been out there and blah 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 is 100% because of Chinese manufacturers. Like it's 100% getting out there because of the
Yeah.
Chinese
Yeah, because
manufacturers.
I can't control them.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the Nintendo Ninjas makes me think a really good Assassin's Creed game would be Assassin's Creed Nintendo. You can have a lawyer class.
Yeah. I mean, they've already got Luigi's in Assassin, so yeah,
Yeah, well, that would be good.
yeah,
Okay, and then we get big date 4.2.2025 Nintendo Direct.
yeah,
Now, obviously, that's a US date,
yeah.
so don't get excited.
Unfortunately, yeah.
You're not getting
I
in
was like,
a
fuck,
couple of weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, so 4.2. So that's second of what's for April, May,
April,
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 March, April. Yeah,
second
cool.
April, yeah. Jesus
Yep.
Christ.
Yeah, no, I'm sleepy con. So, so the US format date, and in Australia, they're having a worldwide sort of little tour where you can go and see, play with
Yes.
one. I remember,
Hearts and Minds
yeah,
tour.
New Game Plus did that with the
Yes.
Switch One, didn't?
Yes,
Yeah,
we did. I
it,
mean,
at Acme.
we got a, yes and no. We had the journalist event, and that was a
Hmm.
Nintendo Switch at MCEC. But then we were allowed to do stuff at Acme in
Mm.
advance. Yes, so
Yeah, that's good. That was a long time ago.
that was eight
So
years ago.
the one in there's the only one in Australia that I saw is in Melbourne. That's
Yes,
on the 10th and 11th of May,
that's
which
at Centerpiece over in Melbourne Park.
yeah, it's definitely does indicate that it's not coming out at the start of February.
Yeah.
That date's American.
Well,
So
yeah. So it's just one of those things. Like we were discussing it. We were always like, well, look, I reckon they'll do an announce this week. I've stood firm on this week for a long time, right? I mean,
yep,
go back and listen to old episodes.
it's so accurate. It could have been a Chinese supplier.
I again, like I say to everyone, I didn't know anyone. I haven't got any specific
You know,
leads, but it
Uncle doesn't work at Nintendo.
was just enough scuttlebutt from all the different sources I have, and I'm like, nah, I reckon this is the week. And then, um, I'm convinced they were going to do a May at latest kind of release, but they really can't. Like unless they're doing a Hearts and Minds tour on
I,
the day they release it, but that doesn't seem like a good
I
idea.
have a theory I'll get to on the
Uh,
with the price on the release date. I have a theory why it's going to be. Anyway, there's a ticket giveaway for
yes,
those
it's the
events.
classic lottery. So yeah,
A lottery ticket giveaway. What am I talking? Lottery. Sorry. So yes, I haven't seen any details of that, but you're gonna have to go in the lottery to get a ticket, or
and
or
Japanese as fuck, right? As well. So yeah,
hopefully hashtag. No,
yeah.
say try and find someone who works in Nintendo to get.
Well, I did say that. I'm like journo privilege. I'm like, do I just dust off the press badge?
Yes, then take me. Actually, if I do, my daughter will murder me.
Yeah, yeah. Imagine
Like,
that. Yeah,
she'll
yeah,
actually like smother me in my sleep.
yeah, yeah,
Take
yeah,
a ticket. Anyway, let's go into it now. I've got that's all the stuff in the video. So
yeah,
there was just a reveal. Now here's some rumors I'm going to go through. Now one of them is and
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah. So let's just say again. These are rumors. These are things that we've read that either sound plausible or come from decent enough sources.
so let's talk about the stuff that I reckon might be accurate. Okay, one of them is there's a rumored price. I don't know if the price is accurate. The rumored price is $3.99 US dollars.
So
Yeah,
550 Australian.
anyway, now this is where you talk about the release thing, and I think there's a okay, another one I'll say. They're planning apparently the supply chain ramping up. They're planning to sell 20 million units in the first year.
100% believe that.
Now, I'll compare that to some other consoles at the moment, but I want to talk about that price of the units because I think that's related to the election results in the US,
Yes.
and I think we're talking about the tariffs that are going to come
I
in.
reckon they wait. I reckon part of the reason they waited to announce it now is because they wanted to see who won the election. I reckon they would have announced it in December. No, maybe not December, but maybe they put it out in November or something like that, or even earlier than now. But they were waiting on who was going to win.
Okay, so I think what you're going to see is because those tariffs. Now the tariffs won't come in day one. They won't come in
No.
a couple of days when the Orange Man comes in office, but they will come in some point, assuming he does what he's promised.
And that's 50-50, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
now I think what Nintendo's doing here with the 20 million units and the price, there's going to be a lot of FOMO. There's a lot of people are going to want to get in before the tariffs because the price could like double,
Yeah.
right? So and suddenly 800 US is a lot of money. So I think what you're going to see is Nintendo's going to really ramp up this production and
Just
sell
go
a
hard early.
lot. They're hard a
Flood
lot
early, yeah.
into the US market. And there's a chance here, especially if the Libs win the election in Australia, we'll be required to follow the US
Yeah.
tariffs. I wouldn't die of shock. It's no benefit to us, but we'll probably be
I mean,
required.
the free trade agreement between us and America was never in our favor. So.
Yeah, so I think we will. So I think it's going to be shocking, but I think they don't care about us. We're a tiny market. We're like the size of a city, the whole
Yeah.
country. So we got less people in Australia than there are in Tokyo.
By far, it's
Yeah.
not even close.
So anyway, so look, I think what we're looking at with the price and the release date is a little bit of a sort of like a game Nintendo's playing to get in before the US tariffs and dump a lot of Nintendos in there because they want to get it. They want to get them into the stores so that people can buy as many as they want, even scalpers,
At the old price, yeah.
at the $399 US price, not the $800 US
Yeah.
price. It will be after
Yeah,
tariffs.
because that is the thing. The tariffs he's talking about. I mean, he's talking 80% tariffs. He's not talking 10%, 15% to try and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, it's gonna be enormous. Yeah,
And the consumers are always the one who has to pay. Let's be real. No, as we learned through COVID, through Coles and Woolies, it's never the consumer that is going to benefit from any. They're never going to take on any extra costs that they don't have to, that they can't then eke a
Mm.
profit out of, right?
Yeah.
So if it goes up 80%, they just go up 100.
Yeah, honestly, I don't have a big problem with tariffs as a concept because when you got countries paying slave labor, you
Yeah,
have to have a balance to say, well, we like to pay people, and
yeah,
the place selling them cheap doesn't. So you're paying an artificially cheap price.
yeah.
Now, that's a general comment,
Well,
but I won't
this is a
comment the
conversation.
specific.
Car manufacturing in Australia is
Yeah,
literally what you're discussing.
yeah. But that's a general thing. So I'm not now. So tariffs, whether right or wrong, I won't get into that.
What's
I
that,
don't.
when your kid gets run down by a ram, blame tariffs. Yeah.
Oh, fucking Rams. Jesus Christ. So all the car parks in shopping centres are now
You're
effectively single lane
and where,
because
where,
those
where,
big
where you
fucking
are, where
cars.
you are now. Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, well, I live in Tradie Central,
Yeah.
and can you calm down, guys? They don't carry that
Because
much
it's
laws.
because
Like
no, they don't. I mean,
$120,000, did you know?
my K truck has a bigger tray than most of them.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Ram's 120 grand.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sorry. When I was at uni, I know I'm going to sound like a boomy. I'm not a boomer, I'm an ex. But when I was at uni, I had friends buying houses for 100.
Yeah.
So you can buy a Ram now for what when I was young you bought a house for. Anyway, yeah, so I think what you're going to see is there will be 20 million units made or more,
Yeah.
and they are going to get them in the US market as quick and as hard as possible,
Yeah.
and they're going to delay the launch until they can get enough there so that rush is going to be a mad rush in the
Yeah.
US market.
Yeah.
I think that's what the
Get their
timing is.
suppliers to buy it before the tariffs kick in, and then deliver the bill of goods when it's
Yeah,
like
and
yeah.
then so rush, and I think that's to do with the price. So anyway, give you a comparison. So they've gone hard with 20 million. If they sell 20 million in the first year, and I think that's reasonable. I
Yeah.
honestly believe the Switch 2 will be the biggest
Yeah.
console ever.
Yeah.
Now let's compare it. I
Well,
don't.
the Switch is like number 3 or something. Is it number 2 or 3? So
I I didn't even write down
yeah,
how
yeah.
many Switches are sold.
Keep
So I'm an
keep
idiot.
going, keep
So
going.
anyway,
I'll sort
but
it
but
out.
let's do a quick comparison. I know first year sales, but let's look at the big boys. The big boys. The PS2 in its lifetime up till now has sold 160 million in what, like 20 years,
Yeah.
right? Um, so they're going to sell
146 million units
of the
of the
Switch.
Nintendo Switch, which puts
Okay.
it just behind the 3DS and the PlayStation
Yeah.
2.
So we're talking the big boys. The DS is 154, and the initial PlayStation 102. The Wii was 101. I was surprised it was lower than that. They're talking to selling 1/5 to 1/8 of the lifetime sales of the largest selling consoles ever in the first year.
Yeah.
And this is going to be the first year when the price is potentially going to be high, and you're going to get cost reduced versions down the track.
Yeah.
When you consider the Switch has been around, what, 8 years now?
Yeah.
So even if they did 20 million per year in the 8 years, I don't know, they wouldn't be selling that much, but there's going to be like a bit of a curve in it.
Yeah.
They're going to really get so close to PS2 numbers, I believe, in the first 5 years.
Yeah.
It's not going to be funny. If you have a look at the 20 million in the first year sales, the Wii U only sold 13 million. So
Yeah,
in its
yeah.
lifetime, the Vita 10, and the Saturn and Dreamcast not less than 10, like 9 point something. So they're looking at selling in their first year more than the Wii U, Vita, and Saturn, and probably more than the Saturn and Dreamcast combined.
Yeah.
Makes me sad as a Sega boy, but this thing is going to be enormous. Also, I made a note here. Do you get an idea how much the video game market has grown?
Well, I mean, we used to joke when it was like, oh, it's a $300 billion market, blah blah blah. But I've no doubt that's nothing
Well, to
now.
give you an idea how much it's grown, so some of the big boys in television, 2600, the Mega Drive and the SNES,
Yeah.
right? The Intellivision only sold 3 million, and that's a pretty
Yeah.
famous console. 2600 was 30 million, and that was like, what
Well, I
started.
mean, that was that was before, that was the NES before the NES.
Yeah, the Mega Drive 30 million and the SNES 49 million. So we're talking like
Yeah.
over half of some of the famous console sales in one year. So to give you an idea of the scope of it. Another reason it's probably going to do good is it's coming at the right time. Now, there was a report released recently that said console sales in Europe dropped 21% last year.
Yeah.
Now, they might have a bit occupying them in some parts.
Yeah.
Might be busy. So there's not a lot of young men in some
Yeah.
parts of Eastern Europe to play video games. But the video game sales only increased by 1%. So people are still playing games. The console sales are dropped by 21. So I think there's a few people holding,
Mm.
whether it's economic or whatever. And so
Well,
if you've got that
I think
dip,
yeah, I think you've got kind of two prongs. Sony is giving away. I think they're giving away one of their advantages as a console manufacturer, and they've just recently started cutting even more of their games as service games recently. So we know that their decisions are thing. But Microsoft shitting the bed as epically as they have as when it comes to the console
no,
market.
they're embarrassing.
Yeah,
I thought Sony was stuffed about 3 years ago. I thought PlayStation 5 would be the last ever Sony console, and Microsoft just had it in control. And
yeah.
they have just made mistake after mistake since then. And Sony has just
And I
basically
think
got to what they're good
And
at.
that's why I think Valve have seen that and gone, well, now's our time. We've waited, we've bided our time. Now's the time to just deliver that uppercut and
Yeah.
own the sphere. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Steam
Like,
OS coming out soon as a thing you can install on other devices. I
yeah,
think it's going to be a big one. Also, I have a feeling the Steam move is to head off a Microsoft takeover
I
where
agree,
Gabe goes.
100% agree.
They want to detach themselves from being a Windows product
Yeah,
to as much as they can, so that they're not a natural inclusion into
yeah.
Microsoft
So they're not just
games.
vertically integrated.
Yeah, because that's the risk that basically Microsoft just comes in after Valve's gone, just throws so much money
Yeah,
at it that
yeah,
because they want it.
yeah.
Let's be honest, they want it. Anyway, all right, I got probably one more, and this is two of the graphics. Are we going for time?
We've done all
35.
right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, cool.
we've done.
Probably one more. Now, there's a rumor you sent me that the dock
Yeah,
will require higher power than the current Switch dock.
yeah,
Now, the current Switch dock doesn't do much.
yeah. It's literally a pass-through. It's an
There were
HDMI pass-through. Yeah, yeah.
there were rumors it was going to upscale that, but there's a rumor. I don't know if you heard this about DLSS technology in the Switch dock.
Mm.
You've heard this?
I've heard the rumors. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so DLSS is an an
Nvidia.
NVIDIA thing, deep learning super sampling, and basically it's AI. Yay, we all love
Your
AI.
mate. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
AI, if you notice Google Mail at the moment, it's just trying to AI everything you do. Oh, Jesus, stop. I can write words. AI, basically it adds frames, boosts image quality in real time. It has three main parts. It has a frame generation. It'll analyze sequential frames and motion data to increase the frames per second
Yeah.
artificially. It actually improves ray tracing by adding extra pixels by working out where the light should naturally be going.
Yep.
And it increases the resolution, obviously, but just
Yeah, upscale. Yeah.
upscaling. Yeah. Now that compares. Now I run I know Trix does as well. I must say M Classic
Yeah.
on my Dreamcast. I think Trix runs it on his Switch or something. That's just a tiny little box. It just does the upscaling, and what you can do in hardware, chip style upscaling, and this is a couple of years old, takes the Dreamcast from looking kind of like a retro console into looking really surprisingly good
Yeah,
for
but
a
that's another
20-year-old
one.
console.
Sega games are another one where the art style lends itself to low res being upscaled.
Daytona looks magnificent
Yeah,
with one of these M Classic upscales. Now, so it sounds like this DLSS is that on steroids.
yeah,
So obviously they've had a few more years to work on it. So and it means that the quality, that means the dock having its higher power requirement makes sense because it's going to be effectively doing AI
yeah.
processing on the image to make it
Well,
look good on a 4K
when
TV.
when Switch One came out, that was where Nvidia was starting to toy with the idea of USB-C plug-in graphics cards, right? So it was like an external dock you put in. Well, everyone was like, oh, the next Switch will have that. The next Switch will have that. Then COVID, then a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, but now it's that point where it's like, yeah, it's not that hard for it to actually be that, for it to just take the existing thing, chuck a supercharger on it basically, and just go from there.
Well, that's Nintendo's strategy is always to wait till the price comes down
Yeah,
when they can make money off the hardware as well.
yeah,
Whereas Sony and Microsoft always had this arms race where
yeah,
they're like the Pentagon. They just throw
yeah,
as much
yeah,
money
yeah,
as they
yeah.
can out and hope it works out, right? Whereas Nintendo sits back and they're way more intelligent about
Yeah,
it, and they've adjusted their games to match that
yeah,
the expectations. For this one, they might have done like this might be the move with this DLSS stuff, if it's true, if it works out, it might be the sort of move that Tramiel did with the Commodore 64 by holding off on the Commodore 64 to get that 64 mega RAM in, which at the
yeah,
time was a big deal. I think and young people won't get that reference, but it might be that significant as
yeah,
far as they've waited. Well, the timing for this is just perfect to get an AI chip in there
yeah,
that will make it easier on developers, and the hardware didn't have to be like Xbox Series X style.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because some of the power, it is rumored that the Switch 2, and again, these are rumors, will have like Steam Deck
yeah,
slash Xbox Series S level
Quality, yeah, yeah,
quality power. So which is was actually like for Nintendo, that's actually a lot for
yeah,
what they normally do.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's the rumors. I had you got any more rumors you've
But
got?
about the Switch, no. The only rumors are obviously, of course, what they're going to launch with, and this is all speculation on my part.
Yep,
I think they launch with a Mario. They'll have Mario Kart updated. They'll have
yep,
a couple of the AAA games that can be downscaled very well, Metaphor Fantasio and Persona and those kind of JRPGs where you just turn the graphics down a little bit and they'll still work because you're not
yep,
relying on frame rate. Anything like that will definitely see a re-release. Anything that's still, I mean, we're at the point now where they don't release them on previous gens. Like games that come out on the series don't come out on the one.
yep.
I mean, very rarely now is that a thing? Unless
Well, even
like
on the Series X, they're held up. Aren't they held back by
Series S,
needing to run on the Series S?
yeah.
What is a boneheaded decision?
Well, I mean, Spencer removed that for some game. He removed it for a
Why
couple.
why does that restriction exist? Why am I buying a Series X and not being allowed to use it?
Well, I mean, this
There
is
should be the Switch at least.
yeah. Well, this is the conversation. Is like the series, like you've got to make it run the Series S because that's their current lineup of consoles.
They
And I'm
do that
like,
with Minecraft.
yeah,
They hobbled Minecraft because they needed to run on phones,
yeah,
right? And, you know what? Microsoft are idiots. They
yeah.
can't they get their heads around? Yeah, you can actually have something run better on PC. Gaming is all about that. It runs better on better hardware. Everyone's
I
got
mean,
their head around that concept.
EA do it with EAFC because we don't call it FIFA anymore. EAFC.
Don't they? Why not?
No, because it's not FIFA
Oh,
anymore.
did they lose the license?
They didn't lose it. FIFA wanted too much money, so EA said, "Well, I reckon our product's strong enough to run on its own." And they
Yeah.
went to the clubs directly and got the thing. So the only thing they can't do is say World Cup.
See, that's a hard one. I wonder which one's more greedy there, because that's
Nah,
too exciting.
I honestly, yeah, it's one of those few, it's one of the few times I'm on EA's side when it comes to their soccer games.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But yeah, and
Anyway, yeah.
so EAFC for years on the Switch ran on the old platform, doesn't run on the new one. So the new one, like a lot of the movement is very dynamic, a lot of it is
Yeah.
really, really nice. But you play it on the Switch and it plays like an old FIFA game, right? Like
Okay.
you can exploit the bugs a little bit easier because you know them. And so for years, that's what it's kind of been with the Switch, and it's the kind of same with the Series S. So a lot of indie games are fine because obviously indie games are not
Yeah.
going to punish them anyway. You can run Balatro on your series. I'm pretty sure it works on one, all that kind of stuff. So I think for indie games, it's still fine. I think if they'd sold the S as that, you know what I mean? It's like here's the low cost alternative, and you just say, you've got Xbox. I mean, Series is a
That's
dumb name
dumb.
anyway.
It's
Anyway,
dumb. Microsoft, another one, Microsoft bonehead
yeah.
decisions. Now, a game I'm wondering, well, they won't be able to do it, but they'll be able to run Helldivers level games with
Oh,
that
for
spec, won't
sure.
they?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah.
they're Sony's Helldivers, so they won't give them that.
I mean, they
Not as a
might.
launch.
They might. Not as
Fair
a
word if they
launch, but
did.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it ported over eventually. I mean, the big one is Sucher seems to think that they're going to be able to get people to like they're going to get not Microsoft are going to get Nintendo and Sony to agree to run Game Pass on their on like Switches and
Nah,
PlayStations and stuff like that.
he's on drugs.
Unless he wants to hand over every single dollar he makes from it, it is
No,
not going to
he's
happen.
on
Like
drugs.
Sony has a competing service the way they've done. They've
Yeah,
tiered the PlayStation. Pardon me, they have a bigger back catalog they can call on.
that'd be
They
great.
do not need Game Ass. Like they just don't need it.
Oh no, there'd be nothing better than having Game Pass on a Switch.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean,
he's on drugs if he
and
thinks Nintendo will do it.
they've shown that they can't even get it to work properly on PC. I'm just like logging into
Yeah.
Microsoft is still gaming is still a
Oh God,
disaster on
yeah,
PC.
yeah. On some PCs, the Xbox
Yeah,
stuff just doesn't work.
yeah,
And actually, you know what? Do you know what? Because I worked it out because I did a lot of testing on mine. It's because if you run it as if you set up your PC and have a local administrator account,
yeah,
it'll run every time.
yeah,
The moment you connect that to your Microsoft account,
yeah.
you will get those install errors because then
Really?
it can't get access to install stuff.
Right, because it's yeah,
Took me months to go through this to try and work out because I put on one PC and it worked, and then as soon as I connect the Microsoft account, it didn't. It took me a while to connect to it because when you do it, when the Microsoft account is the admin, it doesn't have permissions to
yeah,
install.
right.
It installs a bunch of
Yeah,
VC stuff in that
yeah,
first.
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that it's this really simple thing, and they've never fixed it. And it's bizarre. It can also have problems with if you've got some antiviruses running,
Yes,
where it
yeah,
just
I've seen
basically
that. Yeah,
won't
yeah.
let you do the pre-install work that
Hell,
it
it's
does with
it's hard
Chrome.
enough now with Firefox. Look, so many sites have cookies and trackers and all this stuff that some sites just straight up won't work on Firefox. Like you have to have a
Yeah,
second
because it's
browser.
dominant. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, look, that's
yeah. If you have a Firefox with uBlock, I've never seen a YouTube ad. YouTube ad on my
oh
MacBook.
God. Tell you, did you notice watching Expanse how many ads are on Prime at the moment? Oh,
I watch it on my computer, so no.
I
There was a
watch it.
couple. Yeah.
Watch on the Xbox, and we were like watching
Yeah,
last
it's
night.
pretty bad. I mean, same with Twitch, right? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and YouTube. Anyway, we're going way off Switch.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But
we've
yeah,
got
but
about 44 minutes.
I
It's
think
good.
I think basically it comes out with a Mario. I just don't see a world where it doesn't launch with a Mario game. I mean, they when they did Switch One, they launched with Zelda because they kind of needed to get Zelda out at that point, and they're like, well, we can do it the soft launch for the gamers when we're trying to figure out
It's been a few
sequences.
years since
Yeah.
Mario Odyssey.
Yeah,
Uh,
and this is
yeah.
coming off Wii U, so they were a little bit hesitant to jump in. So they were
Yeah.
like, "We'll release it in May for the gamers, and then in October we'll have Odyssey come out. And once Odyssey comes out, that'll be our second launch, if you
They
will."
they demoed Mario. They had Mario Kart in the video, so you can probably expect Mario Kart. I think launching without a Mario game would be like a Sega launching a console without a Sonic
Yeah,
game. Big hello to the Sega Saturn.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, look,
but yeah, so I look, Mario Kart's heavily implied by the video,
yeah.
obviously. I think the
I think it'll
Mario
just be I
games,
think it'll be an 8 updated kind of thing. I
yeah,
don't think it's a 9 yet.
yeah,
So
there'll be yeah, they're the staples, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
and then there'll be a Smash Bros down the track
yeah.
at some point.
Well, I think it'll just be a remaster of the existing game. I hate to be that guy. I hate to. They'll add like 10 more characters or something like that, and then yeah.
Yeah, Malibu Stacy with the new hat.
That's it. It's gotta be. Um,
Basically, cool.
I think on that note, I think that's us done for
Yeah,
now.
I think
Is
we've
there
run
anything
out.
else we should cover? I don't. We'll cover it next week.
No, we'll do
Then,
game news next week. Yeah.
so we got. If you listen to this on the Friday, which this will hopefully go up on, we got Pokeball Saturday night. If you want to come down to for Pokemon themed stuff and
Yep.
nonsense at Glitch. Then we got another one on the 1st of Feb, and then I'm in Japan for a while. I'm hopefully going to go to the Donkey Kong Land in Japan, so
Oh, cool.
I will film
Nice.
clips of that and
You're
let
going
you know how it
home.
goes. Yeah, well, that was. I remember I said that at Universal Studios. They gaijin seated me. I was on the Jurassic Park ride, and they full gaijin seated me. Like I had a whole seat to myself, and I'm like, they should be happy, like, because now every ride they're on is a Donkey Kong collaboration, right? Like, yeah, and yeah.
You should be paid. You should
Uh,
send them your lawyers.
yeah, yeah. I got full Gaijin seat. It was so funny. Like
Yeah.
usually I'll give you space. I won't put anyone on, but because I had all families, I'm like, oh, Gaijin by myself. So I sat there and like lived it up. But yeah, so we're doing some cool stuff over there. And then when I be back, it'll be after I'm 40. So
Wow, you'll be
the
old.
gem in my hand is well and truly gone red.
Yeah.
I've decided not
Yeah.
to renew. Like yeah,
Yep. No, you're on the run now.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. Well, join us.
I knew you'd get that. Very few people would have, but I knew you'd get it. So.
Yeah, I do. It's well, at my age, it's scary to think back of that.
We,
So
we,
yeah,
we said that when we were celebrating the 25th of people coming up through the crew, was we like instead of singing happy birthday, we just go renew.
yeah. Tell
Yeah,
you what, in IT, it still happens.
yeah,
Your little gem turns red, and
yeah. They don't get jobs anymore. Yeah, yeah,
If anybody's just, I was going to say, if anybody's just found this podcast because it's gone up as a Switch 2 reveal sort of reaction, go check out itunes.newgameplus.tv for more, or spotify.newgameplus.tv. They will redirect you through to the rest of the episodes of our
yeah.
podcast. Check it out.
Otherwise,
Um,
newgameplus.tv,
that's the
Facebook, Twitter,
website.
Twitch, New Game Plus
Yeah.
TV. And yeah, Jack is currently editing a new season of content for upcoming.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, so we'll see how we go. Like,
Jack's a star. Look for anything Jack does and watch it.
yeah,
He's fantastic.
agreed. On that note, we'll see you next time.